A certain man planted a rose and watered it faithfully. And before it blossomed, he examined it. He saw the bud that would soon blossom and also the thorns. He thought, how can a beautiful flower come from a plant burdened with so many sharp thorns?
Mom, I'm telling you, something's wrong with my eyes. Andrew was outside playing football with the neighborhood kids, and he came running in the house crying hysterically. What's wrong? I said. He said, Mom, I was outside and Noah, he went to throw the pass, and I went out to catch it, and then everything got dark, and I didn't see the electrical box, and I flipped over it. Over the past year, he had been complaining of headaches and problems with his eyes, and things that weren't rectified by his eyeglass prescriptions. So I decided to get him into the pediatrician first thing on Monday morning. She said, this sounds a lot like migraines. And I said, no, I know a lot of people with migraines, and he doesn't seem to ever talk about the light sensitivity. He doesn't get the nausea. So she orders an MRI. Well, fast forward, it's Tuesday night, and I'm sitting at home. It's March Madness. I'm in basketball, so my world right now is crazy. I've got to get to the Big Ten Network in Chicago. So I'm sitting there in my room studying all these teams, and all of a sudden I heard this voice, and it was really deep. It said, write this down. And then I began to write with a fever and a muse and a passion I had never experienced before. Out of me in about 40 minutes came this entire story about this woman who was hanging out with these two knuckleheaded friends, one named Worry, one named Doubt. And as long as she was hanging out with those two friends, her whole world fell apart. So one day she passed out, and when she woke back up, there was this new friend named Faith. And when she started hanging out with Faith, her entire life improved. I ran into the living room and I said, Andrew, you've got to listen to this. And I read him the poem. He said, Mom, this is a great inspiration. You should make it into your next book. And indeed I did, spoiler alert. But there were some things that I had to learn first. You see, my life had been built on passion, and I learned that passion alone wasn't enough. Because on Wednesday morning it was time to take Andrew in for that MRI. 2 hours after that MRI, I ended up getting a phone call, come in. And the doctor stared at me and with tears in her eyes, and she said, Andrew has a very large brain tumor. He's in an emergency situation. We'll have to get it out immediately. Flagrant foul. The next thing I knew, I was standing in front of some neurosurgeon who was telling me there's a good chance that your son may die. But we're going to do everything we can to save his life. And even if we save his life, there's a good chance that he'll be blind. But we're going to do everything we can to protect his sight. Huge, flagrant foul. I have no idea how I'm supposed to deal with this, not on my own, but now I have to go and I've got to explain it to my 12-year-old biscuit-loving son. And suddenly, as I'm driving furiously down the highway, not knowing what to do, the tagline to that poem popped up: stop hanging out with worry and doubt and make faith your new best friend. And right then I knew that I was given a vision miraculously placed inside of me to know how to lead my son to the next step. When he came home from school, I said, Andrew, you remember the story I wrote last night? He said, yeah, Mom, the one about faith. Did you call the publisher? I said, not yet. You see, that story's not meant for everyone else yet. That's a book for you and me right now. It's you and me that have to stop hanging out with worry and doubt and make faith our new best friend. Surgery day, and there Andrew is, still trying to muster a smile. For 6 hours we prayed, and as faith grew, the craniopharyngioma did indeed disappear. The surgeon said they had got it all. It was the happiest 10 seconds of my life. That was the win. My son was alive, but the foul was Andrew was blind. And at that moment, I realized I was blind too, because I had no clue what to do to help Drew. The only thing worse than losing your sight or as being blind is having sight but no vision. Helen Keller said that. And at that moment, I remembered that quote, and that moment I started learning a lot of life and leadership lessons. The first one was no peripheral distractions. You see, one day we held on to faith, and Andrew woke up and he could see just a little bit of light. And the way he still sees, he's blind in his right eye and he's blind in the left peripheral. He sees as if looking through a little straw. So I said, Andrew, yes, you see through this little cone, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. No peripheral could be a great thing. You have a built-in mechanism to just focus on the goal straight ahead, because over here is worry and over here is doubt. So lesson 2, just focus on the goal and keep moving straight ahead, one step at a time. Focus on the goal. Andrew wasn't hearing it. He said, that sounds all fine, but you're not the seventh grader that gets bullied and picked on when you go to school. You're not the seventh grader who has headaches and stays in and out of the hospital and bumps into things everywhere you go. And then he would cry and cry and cry, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I'm just gonna be honest, I snapped. I said, I can't take it anymore. He was so depressed all the time, crying all day, every day. This was hard. And I said, you can't live your life this way. That winner's mentality kicked in, and I said, you're not gonna do this, stop it. So I put him on a plane, and I put him on a train, and I took him to the most congested place I could find, downtown New York City, Manhattan. So I put him on that plane, and he stepped off, and he looked at all those people going left and right, and he began to cry. I don't want to. I said, stop it, Andrew. What if I bump into people? I said, you listen to me. You're gonna get that cane, you're gonna look straight ahead, you're gonna follow behind me, and if people get in your way, you take that cane and you just swing it like this, Andrew, just go. Keep on moving, hurry up. Sometimes we have to face our fears. He did it. The next thing we learn, sometimes true strength means asking for help. You see, most of us are very, very proud. When pride says do it yourself, but wisdom says find someone who knows. Listen to your wisdom. You're going to be very, very proud that you did. We found the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind, where Andrew went on, in just that 1 year, he became valedictorian of his 8th grade class. The fourth thing, don't let things you can't do overshadow the things you can. In your business world, in your personal world, you will find people constantly saying you can't. The magic words always for winner's mentality is I can. Don't let those things discourage you. They said you can't play football, you can't play basketball. I said, surely there's something you can play, Andrew. He went on and he found goalball. It's a Paralympic sport for the blind. You can. Number 5, trust that eventually you'll learn to survive your new normal. This is a big one, folks, because we're in a world that is constantly changing. Change is often difficult. It's also inevitable. You have to trust that you're going to survive it. After all, every day is a new day, and you're still here, right? Most of you. Lesson number 6, one thing worse than losing your sight truly is losing your vision, and this was the big lesson. You see, sight to me is physical. It's the here and now. Vision is spiritual. Sight is perception of your present. Vision is faith in your future. And the last lesson, you are significant. We're living in a political time where everybody wants to matter. It's just a core part of who we are. So passionately play your position no matter how bad things get. Passionately play your position. You are significant. Ultimately, we're here to lead and to serve everybody else. By doing that, we encourage others to do the same. Andrew went on. He is now in his first semester after he didn't even want to go to school. He is now a freshman at Florida State University, struggling like everybody else. The weird thing, his interest is now helping others with disabilities. You see how those fouls in your life, if you just trust the vision, will come back in and it will lead you directly to your purpose. That's how we all win.
If you're new to the Impact Secret Podcast Show, welcome to the family. To my existing family, big up. As always, thank you for joining this movement. On this podcast show, we shift the mindset through inspiration, motivation with a standing foundation of self-discipline. I am your respectful host, ED. Look, for all you smart and intelligent folks out there, look, that just simply means Ed. You know the motto, you know the slogan, what we live by, what we stand on. Bet on yourself. You won't win unless you get in the game and play. One quote that resonates with us well here by Bob Marley is, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Listen here, family. If living means doing what you love to do, even if you have to fall to get back up, I'm willing to get back up over and over and over again. One question, 2 thought-provoking statements. First question, who are you hanging out with? Worry, doubt, or faith? Who are you hanging out with? Worry, doubt, or faith? That it was inspired by Vera Jones, and that was who you heard on that audio clip, in case anyone is asking. First thought-provoking statement, your focus. Your focus. I feel like Hove. I'm focused, man, but your focus. And the last and final thought-provoking statement, keep moving, being overshadowed. Again, keep moving, being overshadowed. Today's episode is inspired by Kanye West's Donda album. I think it was track Praise God. And I hope that you guys like this. Check this out. Even though you're not ready for the day, it can't always be night. How a blind son taught his mother about having vision. That was actually a combination of Vera Jones and Kanye West Donda album. Again, even though you are not ready for the day, it can't always be night. How a blind son taught his mother about having vision. Family, when I open up the show, I open the show up talking about this rose, and you're probably thinking, what happened with the man in his rose? Well, let me go further into that story. See, saddened by the thought that the rose had sharp thorns, the man neglected to water the rose, and before it was ready to bloom, it died. See, so many people, within every soul there is a rose. The godlike qualities planted in us from birth amid the rows of our faults. Many of us look at ourselves and see only the thorns, the defects. We despair, thinking that nothing good can possibly come from us. We neglect to water the good within us, and eventually it dies. We never realize our potential. Some people don't even see roses within themselves. Someone else must show it to them. One of the greatest gifts a person can possess is being able to reach past the thorns and find the rose within others. This is a characteristic of love, to look at a person and knowing his faults, recognize the nobility in his soul, and help him realize that he can overcome his faults. If we show him the rose, he will conquer the thorns. Our duty in this world is to help others by showing them their rose and not their thorns. Only then can we achieve the love we should feel from others. Only then we can bloom in our own garden. That's brought to you by Christina, I may be saying the name wrong, so forgive me. Christina Bella, Inspirational Stories, a collection of inspiring and motivational stories. You know what I love about Vera Jones, and it took me, family, when I tell you I was looking for something really thought-provoking today. I am not saying I'm not in a thought-provoking mood every day, but today was a special thought-provoking day for me, because I started this journey, as I mentioned on last episode, of going and doing this 10-day smoothie fast. By the way, if you're listening on YouTube, please share this, click subscribe. I got a couple books in there that I'm currently reading. Check out those links. But in doing this process, it has been very challenging, and we are only in day 2. It's been challenging, family, is because I'm doubting if this is even possible for me to complete. Not because I can't do the work, is what I'm thinking about as far as the the food that, man, I'm missing out on. See, that what happens a lot of times and I'm noticing that it's a parallel how we get distracted from the things we say that we want to do. We say that we want to be this great individual. We say that we want to lose weight, or we say that we want to be an inspiration or inspire others, but we won't put in the consistent work that's required. And we know what the work is because either we've seen examples of it or there's an opportunity to test out a couple things. And family, going through this is definitely a mental challenge. You see, what the thing is what Vera was describing when she gave that talk, when she was talking about, you have to stop hanging out with worry and doubt and make faith your new best friend. See, one thing about faith that I've learned along the way, it requires something of you that maybe you feel that you don't have. It requires something of you that maybe you thought that you didn't have the ability. You see how I keep saying maybe? Because maybe if we unpack the word maybe, that is a 50-50, because you know how people do you. I don't know about you. Maybe they don't do you like that. They'll say, well, I'll try to be there for you. And you're like, well, okay, let me ask you a quick question. I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm not saying I come from an intelligent family and that I got an intelligent background. But when you say you're going to try, is that sort of like a 50-50, meaning that if you're not able to make it, that means that gives you a way out? Oh, see, family, you have to be careful with those I'll try type people, because when you get around those people, they're telling you that, well, don't be surprised if I'm not able to come through or follow through. And when you hear that, if you can get caught up into that message and you'll fall prey to that. And when I mean fall prey, meaning that you'll give them a way out. You'll give them an option not to move forward. You'll give them an option not to go through the pain and struggle that you had to go through. What I'm saying to you, family, is that in anything that you're doing is going to require something of you. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to make it through this fast, but what I do know is that every day I have to show up. I can't try and show up. I can't make an attempt and show up. But what I do know is that, hey, I am on day 2. And as Will Smith said, I'm going to build this situation a brick at a time. If you're not familiar with that story, Will Smith gives an example of how his father tore down this wall and told him and his brother to rebuild the wall. And what he learned from that is that it took them to build it one brick at a time. See, we want to go so fast at so many different things because I know, and you know, I might go on my rant. So if you don't like what I'm about to say and you get frustrated when I go down this path on my rant about how people selling these bogus courses, then you probably can tune out right now. But what I'm saying is that we get so caught up in the shiny object of people saying, well, yeah, you can make $10,000 if you do this, and you can make $100,000 with no money down and no credit checks and all of this. And you like, okay, that don't even sound right, but all right, let me see if this will work. Maybe this will work. And you do it. You purchase the item. You go through the course, and then you realize, wow, this had no value. See, family, I am learning more and more. I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to make the investment. And sometimes I get lucky. And I heard 50 Cent say the best when he said, when you are an entrepreneur per se, or you're someone that are seeking for greatness, there are going to be some losses, but the wins are when you hit it, it will outweigh the losses. And what I have to tell you, family, is that when you've made your mind up that you have a decision that this is what I'm going to do, and you are not going to get in the way. Because see, a lot of times it is you that is getting in the way. You're trying to control the environment. I read an article where Tony Dungy was talking about how and when he was working for, I can't even remember the coach, it's something Green. I don't want to say Al Green because then y'all think I'm crazy, but last name Green. And he said he was, assistant coach under him. And what they would do is that they would create a disruption in practice, in a sense, to prepare the players for what may happen in the real world. There's been many times where, you've had this plan and it's been disrupted. So how do you respond when it's been disrupted? How do you move forward? A perfect example of that is where you had made a decision that you wanted to maybe go to school. And then when you were in school, you was going to school for one thing. And then all of a sudden you started doing something else. Your plans get disrupted, or better yet, maybe you were hoping and you had plans of being this big, sports broadcaster, or I don't know what the thing is, but it gets disrupted and your route is diverted. And when it's diverted, you start going in a different direction and you're like, what about this over here? I'm going to tell you, family, sometimes it may be good just to let that thing go and start going towards this way and to see what this thing is about, because you're getting pulled in this direction for a reason. When I started this, I started it just like I told you before. It was going through Russell's 30-day challenge. And when I went through the challenge, he said, you need to produce something every day. I was like, well, Russell, that sounds great and everything. I said, well, let's see what happens. And I didn't do it every day. I did it 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week. Maybe it was weeks where I hit it 5 times a week. And people, it was funny when I was looking in the comments of what people were saying to him, and they were saying, well, I've been doing this for a while and I don't have no audience. And he was like, great. And I was like, yeah, I love that. See, family, you want the audience, you want the praise, you want the accolades, but you don't want to put in the required work that's going to be required. So when the stage is set for you, when the stage is ready, you can do it. I've watched subscribers go up and down and up and down. And I'm like, man, maybe they're not feeling what I'm saying. Maybe this is not interesting to them. Well, I get excited. I'm interested. But the thing about it is I have to remember that it's a process. And in the process, you're not always going to have fans because you're still trying to figure out along the way what makes sense, what works, what excites, what motivates, but yet just don't get people excited without giving them direction. Don't get people so amped up and then you don't have an opportunity to provide a foundational principles to help guide them, because anyone can get on a mic and tell you and get you excited and say you can do everything in the world, but then you leave after you finish listening and it's like, man, I don't know about that. I don't believe that's possible. So that's why it's intentional that you have to stay focused, and it's not going to be easy. I get distracted all the time, family. See, people ain't going to tell you that. They're going to tell you, I don't watch any TV. I don't watch no YouTube. I don't even watch birds while they chirping. I mean, I literally lock in and I lock in. I wish I could tell you that, family. I wish I could sell you that, but that's, for me, that it just doesn't happen. But I've noticed how to leverage those distractions. Ooh, I like that. Sometimes, family, you have to leverage those distractions for how can you insert that into what you're chasing, what your goal is. And what I've noticed is sometimes when I get distracted like that, I say, okay, I have to put my timer on and be like, I got 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, wherever I'm going down this rabbit hole, I need to come out in 10 minutes. And I'll pull out in 10 minutes and say, that's it, and I'm done. And there's been many times, family, where I found some good resources or some good information. I recently found some information that I believe is valuable, but let's see what happens. I'm going to go and check it out. And I invested in it as far as it was like an ebook. And I was just curious to see, hey, what do I have to lose? Yes, I'm losing a element that I won't get back. But that's sometimes what it's about of taking a chance. Like I told you, yeah, there have been a lot of bogus courses out here, bogus information that people that are selling you. However, you only got to be right one time, as Mark Cuban would say. So what I'm telling you and what I'm challenging you, family, is that when you've made your mind up, when you've made a decision that you are going to have a crystal clear vision on what you want, there will be distractions along the way. There will be interruptions, but it's up to you to see how you can leverage those interruptions and those distractions for your good. Because yes, right now you may not understand why you're going through this. I'll be honest with you, family. Every time I get on this mic, I'm like, is today the last day of me doing this? Not because I don't enjoy doing it, not because I don't feel that I have the capability of doing this, but I'm saying, is it impactful? Does it provide value? Am I helping someone or somebody open up their eyes to say, I can be more? Am I really doing something more today than I did yesterday? Am I getting 1% better? Because that's all I'm focused on. You can get 100% better if you want to, but you'll burn out. I'm working on 1%. What didn't I do yesterday that I can do today? What are some battles that I fought yesterday that I almost lost, but I was able to win? Let's do a retrospective and see, how was I able to beat those battles? Sometimes, family, you got to sit down. That's why I started meditating, if I'm going to be honest with you, is because I started meditating because it gave me an opportunity to reflect. We're so busy. We're so on the go. We're always on the move, or we got this device in front of us. We got that device in front of us. We got somebody telling us what we should be doing with our life, telling us what we shouldn't be doing with our life. But have you ever sat down and took time to spend with you? See, when you sit down and take time to spend with you, it don't matter what anybody say to you. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. It really don't matter. Because you've already made up in your mind. You have it crystal clear. This is what I'm going to do. I will stick with this because I have a belief. I have a faith that I'm not going to sit with worry and doubt. See, worry and doubt may be in the back seat, but I have faith as the drivers. I have faith driving the car, and I'm just happen to be in the passenger seat. I like that. Oh, I like that. I challenge you today, family. I challenge you to identify that negative self-talk that is creeping in your mind, finding ways to silence it. I don't know. Meditation may work for you. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But what I do know is that the only way you'll know if it'll work is if you test it out. You run it. You know what we do here. We run a lot of experiments. I run experiments because I feel that the only way to see if there's a possible opportunity that it would align with what my purpose is and what I'm wanting to do is only by testing it out. I didn't say try it. I said testing it out. And normally when I run an experiment, I may run it for, it depends on what it is, maybe a couple weeks, a month, a year. But it depends. That is something you have to make the decision on. Because what you would hate to happen is that you're not ready for the opportunity of something that you know that if you would have just stuck with it, that it would have presented something bigger for you. So keep moving, family. Don't get caught up in being overshadowed by what you're seeing with your eyes. Because a lot of times you can get caught up what you're seeing with your eyes, that it doesn't look possible. It doesn't look like it can happen for you. It doesn't even, it seems like there's no way out. Remember that story I shared with you about and I was just thinking about that, about how they were in this, it was manager with, I think it was a police officer or something. I don't know who it was. I think it was a manager and this gentleman, and they were walking around the mental hospital, and there was a test with the bathtub. And he asked the guy, he said, well, what out of these things that are sitting here, which one of these things will get, basically drain the tub the fastest? And the guy was like, the bucket, of course. Instead of just saying, pulling out the actual stopper in the tub. See, family, sometimes we overcomplicate things when we don't have to. We make it harder on ourselves when we don't have to. Yes, embrace the challenge. Yes, embrace the uncomfortability. But understand, you have a power in you that's so amazing, that's so great, that if you really just took the time and sat down with you and no one else and just you, you'll be amazed at what you can be. Until next time, family. I've been your respectful host, ED. And this will be another Impact Secret Podcast show. Stay tuned, family. I'm dropping a lot of shorts on YouTube videos. We have curriculum on its way. We have a lot of amazing things coming. So I hope that you enjoy this ride with me. I'm excited. I understand this is definitely a marathon, and I got on my running shoes. I'm stretching out because I'm ready for this run. And I hope you're there to enjoy it with me. Until next time. Peace.